As it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him. But God hath revealed them unto us by his Spirit.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 15. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Shalom Yasharala. Peace Israel. Kahalayim La, Alahayanawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All praise to our power, our Father, Yahweh, in the name Yahushai, in the name Holy Spirit. Double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops, great milk. Peace and blessing to your hopeful elect out there. You brothers teaching his word in truth and in sincerity, okay? Yahweh Shai will make you elect like him. Yahweh Shai will make you hopeful elect out there just like him. He's gonna make you just like him, and he's gonna give you everything in due season, okay? I'm reading the scripture again, and then I'll get another. Just gonna read two scriptures in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 15 again. As for me, and this is Psalm of David, and we know King David was an Israelite. Or should I say he is an Israelite, okay? So this verse right here is only for the Israelites, beginning with the elect. Those are part of the house of David. Because King David himself, he wrote this. Psalm 17, 15. As for me, I will behold thy face and right, meaning you will behold this truth, okay? This truth is the Lord's face. His image. You're looking at his face in righteousness by you understanding this truth. Okay? He opened up your mind to receive this word. You understand and believe in the true proper name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You understand and believe in the true proper name of his beloved Son, Yahushai. You know that we're the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand this truth. So you're beholding his face in righteousness, meaning you're understanding these scriptures. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness, meaning when you're changed. When Yahushai returns to this earth, he's gonna quicken you. He's gonna give you life. When you receive that new body, it's like you're waking up for the first time. Totally refreshed, totally renewed, totally rejuvenated. A whole new world, a whole new life. That's how it's going to be when you receive that immortal body. You will be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning you're going to be changed and you're going to be just like him. Because he is the perfect model. He is the archetype. So for you hopeful elect out there, you're being made into different versions of Yahushai. When he returns to this planet Earth, he's going to make you just like him. First, he gave you his truth. You have his truth by way of his death and resurrection, because Yahushai had to die for us to receive this truth, this word. So you're beholding his face by you looking at this word. So you see Yahushai all the time. You see Yahushai by way of this word, because he is the word. He comes in the volume of the book. And the more you get into this book, the more you're becoming like his image spiritually. And when he returns to this earth, physically, you're going to be like him. Physically, you're going to be changed. And you're going to receive that new covenant. The law, statutes, and commandments will be in your mind. You're going to be programmed to do righteousness. Okay? You will have the law, statutes, and commandments downloaded within your brain. You're going to be satisfied when you awake with his likeness, meaning when he returns, he's going to beam you up, deliver you, and you're going to be just like him. And he's going to give you everything. He will give you everything, man, because he himself received everything. Now, this is Psalms chapter 16, beginning verse 9. Therefore, my heart is glad. Now, this is Yahweh Shai speaking in the spirit. Now, these are Psalms written by our beloved King David. But a lot of these Psalms, you hear Yahweh Shai in the spirit.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful that got there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, dealing with morning news and prophecy, is the inner circle of the NWO. And that inner circle consists of Amalek. Okay, when we talk about, the 1% of the 1%. Okay, well, they're speaking of Amalek, which are, the chief people of this age. All right, because we know Esau, Edom, okay, is a nation. All right, that's in power. All right, as the scriptures speak about the earth being given into the hand of the wicked, which is the nation of Edom. And within the nation of Edom, you have, all right, a sect of Edomites known as Amalekites, man. Okay, and today they are the greatest imposters of the planet Earth, claiming to be the chosen people. Okay, claiming to be us. You see, and these are the devils, all right, that have all the chief positions in the planet Earth, from the elite bankers, okay, to these tech giants, okay, to all the heads of all these different industries, okay, the different government positions. These are all small hats, man. Okay, the inner circle, the brains of this whole NWO, all right, agenda that we see being rolled out on the planet Earth. It all comes from this small inner circle of Edomites that run everything, man. Okay, and when you go into the Bible, Amalek is highlighted. Okay, one thing about the Bible, it goes into all right, certain people, certain characters, certain nations. Okay, America the Bible is saturated, okay, with America. Spiritual Sodom, spiritual Edom. Spiritual Egypt. Okay, is known as what Babylon, mystery Babylon the Great. Okay, so America is saturated in the scriptures, through code names. You see, because there's no way the Lord, all right, would not tell us about this great empire that would rule in complete rebellion to righteousness. Okay, and there's nothing explained about this, man. Okay, the Bible explains everything that we need to know, all right, for the sake of salvation, man. All right, and Amalek is explained in the scriptures, man. They're mentioned, they're talked about. All right, and these things make sense the more we understand the Bible, the more everything else makes sense. Okay, so I want to go here. Okay, because a thorough understanding of the Bible explains everything that matters. Okay, a thorough explanation of the Bible explains everything that matters, man. And that's why wisdom and knowledge is the stability of our times, man. Okay, because we understand the truth of the matter with everything that's going on. Okay, all praises to Yahweh Bashim Shai, through the Holy Spirit. Now, when you go here, it says Amalek fought. So when you go to Exodus 17:8, it said, then came Amalek and fought with Israel and Rephidim. Okay, so Amalek came and fought us. All right, soon as we came out, we fresh out of Egypt, and this nigga here, man. All right, the first, all right, hostility that we encounter coming out of Egypt is who? Amalek. Okay, this is Exodus 17. Remember, Exodus 13 is when the Red Sea is split. All right, the sea or the Gulf of Suez, okay, is split, and we come through the Red Sea. Okay, and not long after, you got these niggas, man, Amalek. Okay, Exodus 17:8 said, "Then came Amalek and fought with Israel and Rephidim." And now, what I want to go into real quick, I'm gonna get the point. All right, but when you go to, so I just looked it up. Was Amalek the first nation that Israel encountered coming out of Egypt? It says, yes, according to the biblical account, Exodus 17:8-16, the Amalekites were the first nation to attack Israelites after they departed from Egypt and crossed the Red Sea. This attack occurred at Rephidim, where Amalekites targeted weak and trailing Israelites. All right, because Amalek is a coward. All right, you see the same thing today where they using fighter jets to attack. All right, civilians, men, women, and children, mainly women and children, civilians. All right, because Esau, especially Amalek, they're a coward by nature, man. This nigga put on like he's some brave warrior. That's because he got all this technology, man. Okay, that he's as bold as he is. Okay, but this nigga is a coward by nature, man. All right, and this is the first people that we encounter coming out of Egypt, man. Is Amalek weak ass, man. Okay, and it makes sense today when you look at how Amalek controls the music industry and how they target Jake to be the most violent, degenerate people. That's done intentionally, man. Okay, understanding that Amalek runs the planet Earth. Okay, under the banner of Esau, Edom. All right, and you see how Jake is targeted when it comes to social engineering. Okay, and making Jake just violent, dysfunctional, degenerate. Okay, destruction of the family. Okay, it makes sense, man. It is Amalek that's pulling the strings. Okay, well, what our people consider, is cultural norms, which is now what, all right, broken homes. Okay, hot girls, street niggas. Okay, serial killers. All right, you see the things that are glorified, alphabet. Okay, all these things that are glorified and tolerated amongst Jake. Okay, was engineered by these small hats, man, because it's psychological. You see, what you're going to get into that. Okay, so and it says key details regarding the encounter. It said the attacks. It says Amalekites are nomadic dwellers in Sinai Peninsula, Negev region, attacked the Israelites shortly after their liberation. It said the battle, Joshua led the army while Moses, supported by Aaron and Hur, and held up his hands to secure victory. Divine command. Because of this unprovoked attack, particular targeting the vulnerable, the Most High ordained a perpetual struggle against Amalek, commanding that their army, all right, Slack commanding that their memory be wiped out. Okay, and we coming into the time where it's going to be fulfilled, man. The Lord is going to wipe out the memory of Amalek, man, because this current kingdom, this current age, okay, is highly influenced by Amalek, man. Okay, that's why it's so lewd and so vile, man, because Amalek is a nasty nigga, man. A nasty, filthy, coward nigga, man. He just been given all this power. Okay, but the Lord's going to wipe away the memory of Amalek out the earth, man. Showing that all this infrastructure is going to be gone. All this satanic, okay, and witchcraft, okay, the culture that this man has made, okay, his influence on society, all this going to be wiped out, man. And it's gonna come a time where this nigga kingdom is gonna be like it never was, man. Okay? It said Amalek is depicted as the first among the nations in their opposition to Israel, embodying a persistent, hostile enemy, man. Okay, so when you look at this NWO, all right, and the main people who want their birthright back out of Esau was Amalek. Okay, the chief Edomites. Okay, because the Edomites that we see at Kroger, okay, you see at the sports bar, okay, they don't have a clue about no birthright. Okay, the people that want this birthright back, all right, is Amalek, the chief amongst, all right, these Edomites. Okay, and this is why we're seeing this system being rolled out, is them devils wanting to hijack the birthright back through technology, man. All right, and they're always going to be the most hostile against Jake. Okay, all these Edomites are the devil, and they're going to get, it's going to be a collective punishment, man. Okay, but you best believe it's going to be worse on you Amalekites, man. Okay, that's responsible for the filthiness, all right, that's been normalized in society today. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's go back to Exodus. We'll jump to the point. Just want to go into a little bit of history of that nigga, man. Okay, so let's go to let's see, let's go here. Jump down. This is Exodus 17 and 16. It says, "For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." Okay, so the Lord swore that he will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. And see, how does Amalek, okay, wage war against the Most High? He destroys creation, and he destroys the Most High's people. Okay, because it's Amalek that's pulling the strings. Okay, behind the systemic, okay, oppression of Jake. Okay, this Amalek behind the screen. The social engineering, the enchantments, the psyops. It's Amalek. Okay, a lot of these psyops and enchantments are specifically targeted at Jake, man. Okay, and that's how Amalek wages war with the Most High. Okay, in the response of the Most High, he has raised up the prophets now. Okay, and these enchantments are being broken off the hopeful elect. Okay, that's why Scripture say he shall be consumed, with the spirit of his mouth, which is the prophets, and then destroyed at the brightness of his coming, the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay, see, now the Most High is finna get really active, okay, in his war with Amalek. All right, that's why he's stirring up this third world's war. Okay, because Esau prides himself on having Jake, destroy themselves. Well, the Most High's finna have these Edomites start to destroy themselves, man. And Yahweh Shalaki, Yahweh Shai is going to return, speaking too fast. Yahweh Shai is going to return and finalize the destruction of all these Edomite militaries, man. Russia included. Okay? And it's going to subdue all the heathen and put them in captivity, man. That's how this war with Amalek is going to end. With Amalek going into captivity, his kingdom being destroyed, his authority being removed, all right, being provoked, and all these heathens going into captivity. Okay, so let's let's go here, because it's called Amalek, the first of the nations. He was the first to come out and attack Israel. All right, and he was the first. It was through Amalek, through the Greeks. All right, that these Edomites, that was their first empire, was under the Greeks, which was Amalek. When you go into the ruling families of Greeks, all right, go to Alexander, which the son of Philip the Macedonian. Okay, the scripture called Haman, a Macedonian, and Haman was a descendant of who? Agag, king of Amalek. Okay, so you can link Alexander, all right, back to Amalek. Okay, and Alexander, it was through prophecy that he would establish the Greeks to have dominion in the earth. Okay, so Amalek was the first of these Edomites to have a empire, man. Okay, they were the first ones to uh, attack Israel coming out of Egypt. Okay, and now these devils are first of the nations within this current rulership, within this beast system. Well, that beast system is headed by Amalek. All right, this beast system government that runs the earth. Okay, so when you go to Numbers 24 and 20 says, and when he looked on Amalek, he took up this parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. Okay, so it's gonna come a time, all right, after that 1,000 years of captivity, man. All right, well, these Edomites, all right, which by default includes Amalek, okay, are going to be rooted out of the earth, man. Okay, so what these devils are trying to pull off, all right, is going to get them put into captivity and rooted out the earth, man. Okay, so now he enjoys, this status of being the first of the nations, all right, being the chief of the nations of the earth. Okay, but his latter end is that he's going to perish forever, man. Okay, the memory of an Edomite rulership is going to be something to be forgotten in our kingdom. We got an eternal kingdom, man. We got plenty of time to forget about this nigga and his wicked ass, coward ass rulership, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to get this quick video and just kind of tie some things up. Now he's speaking about, it's a video about Epstein, but the first few minutes he really goes into how this is a small, all right, group of people, all right, that's making all these moves as far as technology. Okay, now Jeffrey Epstein was known to be a transhumanist. Okay, he was big into AI. All right, and ultimately, he was just this billionaire playboy. All right, that was getting all this, blackmail on, these high profile characters. All right, that the elites use for their agenda. Okay, so he was in the mix of all these tech guys and, politicians and, okay, different people, celebrities. He was in the mix of all these people. He was just planted. He was just a billionaire for no reason out of nowhere. Okay, and just planted in the mix of all these people. Okay, to just be this, this super freak. Okay, lewd, nasty nigga. All right, amongst these, different tech giants. Okay, but these people are all characters that's a part of an inner circle that runs the show. So let's play this, um, just the first few minutes of it, and just tie all this together, you know, Lord will. So let's play this.
What I'm about to tell you is going to change the way that you look at AI forever. It's not going to be pleasant to hear, but it's going to be very important. I intended on waiting until we hit 100,000 subscribers to release this episode because of the amount of research I did into it. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to receive this and to completely understand it. I'll start with the fact that everything everybody's been talking about when it comes to the Epstein files is wrong, dead wrong. And the real issue with Epstein hasn't even bubbled to the surface yet. It's a much deeper, darker story. It starts in 2002, and it involves some of the most famous tech billionaires we have in our country today. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page. Now, I'm not one to bring you conspiracy theories. As you know, every single episode that I bring you here on Off Air is thoroughly researched and vetted and factual. That's the same with this episode. Everything I'm about to tell you is 100% absolutely true, and it's vetted, and it's unfortunate, and it is our new reality. If you spend your day on artificial intelligence, if you regularly log into ChatGPT, if you ask it questions and you receive answers and it tells you how to do your job on a daily basis, there is a very real chance, based on what I'm about to tell you during this episode, that technology is changing your life for the worse, not the better. I'm Ron Chapman, federal criminal defense attorney, former Marine Corps lawyer and investigator, and I'm going to bring you the story of the new eugenics Jeffrey Epstein, the godfather of artificial intelligence. There was a DARPA program. For those who don't know what DARPA is, it's the CIA-backed research wing that does a lot of research into technology, and it's been the godfather of many very famous technologies, including Facebook, as I'm about to show you right now. DARPA LifeLog was a program that was launched by DARPA. You can go online and look for the request for proposal. The design of this program was supposed to capture all Americans' information, put it into a lifelog, track it, build it over time so that you can create an electronic database of every American, and in fact, almost everybody in the world. Well, when congressional hearings started related to LifeLog, it was quickly killed by DARPA. Why? Because it came to the surface, because people learned about it, and because people became very concerned about the impact of all of their information online. This was 2003. This was back when we were a little bit more concerned about what we put into the computer. We weren't too far away from dial-up modems and AOL, and Bill Gates was still a name that was regularly talked about. As soon as LifeLog became public, DARPA quickly killed it. And they killed it on February 4th, 2004. That date is significant because that's also the date that a young hoodie-clad Mark Zuckerberg, sitting in a Harvard dorm room, launched what he called then the Facebook. The Facebook was designed as just a Harvard campus project. That's all Mark Zuckerberg intended it to be. But then, of course, he met the Winklevoss brothers, two relatively wealthy and backed individuals who worked with him on the project. And if you believe the movies, Mark Zuckerberg went in a different direction than the Winklevoss twins. But that's not the real story. The real story is, right after Facebook launched, it got tens of thousands of users. 50% of them were on Harvard campus, and it struggled to get off the ground in other campuses. It wasn't until a tech CEO, Peter Thiel, then of PayPal, and a relatively famous figure in the Conservative Party now today, came to Mark Zuckerberg, a relatively unknown individual on Harvard campus, and offered him $500,000.
So what we see, all right, with DARPA, all right, DARPA is, the research, all right, it's pretty much the research of the Department of Defense. So with DARPA, they're pretty much, the geek squad, all right, for the technology of the American military. Okay. This is all military technology and software. Even the internet, Bill Gates, he's just a character. Okay. The internet is military technology. Okay. All the design and the infrastructure for the internet came from DARPA. Okay. The actual lines and, the hard infrastructure to make the internet possible, it all comes out of DOD, Department of Defense budget. Okay. That made the internet possible. All right. But they throw these characters, Bill Gates, this funny looking nigga, put glasses on them and, give it this story. They all drop out of college or high school, it's the same story. You see, there's rags to riches, but this is all government technology, all right, based out of DARPA. Okay. And Peter Thiel, he's nothing but a front man. Okay. He's a mascot as well. All right. And what he does, he goes and funds. Okay. He's made to seem like he's an investor, like he's just this private investor into all these random companies that hit big when it comes to data gathering and technology, man. Okay. This is nothing but all DARPA, okay, military technology, okay, that's sold to the American people as, these private tech companies founded by these rags to riches CEOs. Okay. And he's going to keep explaining.
Now, the one thing that you should all understand about Peter Thiel is at that point, he was what's called an angel investor, but he was a different kind of angel investor. He actually paid individuals to drop out of college and commit themselves to his causes. Thiel's club has launched some of the most famous tech startups. He's been behind nearly every single one of them. Reid Hoffman with LinkedIn was started right around this time period. Now, if we go back and look at Peter Thiel and say, why did he spend $500,000 on this project? Why was he one of the first venture capitalists? Why was he offering this kind of money to people like Mark Zuckerberg? You have to understand about what he built at that point in time. You see, Peter Thiel was the founder of a program called Palantir. Palantir is the connector. Palantir is the brain, but the brain doesn't have the data that it needs in order to figure out artificial intelligence. Palantir is a company that takes existing information and it connects that information together to draw conclusions. It's been going for a very, very long time. I used it when I was in the Marine Corps in Afghanistan, and I've spoken widely about Palantir because of how much I know about it. But Palantir is nothing unless it has users to put in data. That's where LifeLog came into play. The intent was people like John Poindexter of DARPA, the CIA, and the US military, Department of Defense, felt that they would be able to just get a project to collect this information that was government funded. But when there was pushback by the American public, they had to go a different way. And DARPA playboy Peter Thiel decided to go the way of a young hoodie-clad college kid to get the information that he deeply sought to make the connections he needed in order to control so much about our environment.
So what these devils had to do was rebrand this military technology, okay, to make it appealing for social use. Because what they need is for people to volunteer their data. Okay, they want a digital database on every individual. Okay, so they present, all right, because it was LifeLog, all right, under DARPA, but they turned it into Facebook, okay, under this character, Mark Zuckerberg, okay, to where now they have these different platforms to where people are volunteering their data. And Palantir, okay, is nothing but a data consolidation, okay, to where it gathers the data, okay, and through that data, they're able, you see, to feed the AI. Okay, they're able to feed the AI, give input to the AI, and then the AI is able to do target marketing. Okay, is able to predict behavior, is able to control behavior, manipulate behavior because of all this input that's being gathered by these different companies, man. Okay, and Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, all that is for data gathering. And this military technology, is military software. Okay. You see, but they present it as for public use, for the fake, for for keeping families united, keeping families in touch. That's the you see, that's the reason for Facebook keeping families in touch, man. It's data gathering, facial recognition, all these selfies. Okay. And it's all, one small group of people that's doing all this, man.
For those of you who think the rags to riches story of Mark Zuckerberg is some amazing tale that we should tell our grandchildren, think again. Just about every social media entrepreneur back in the day of Peter Thiel's tech startups was blessed by DARPA. Why didn't MySpace win over Facebook? It didn't have DARPA backing. Why did LinkedIn win over the dozens and dozens of programs that were available that did similar things around that time? It was because of Peter Thiel and DARPA. Why did Instagram become so big? Peter Thiel and DARPA. Spotify, Peter Thiel and DARPA. Just about every single aspect of your digital life, Peter Thiel and DARPA backed, blessing people in exchange for one thing: a backdoor of information to be collected from users, cell phone location, and a tremendous amount of user data. Now, what does this have to do with Jeffrey Epstein? That's the curious part. A lot of people aren't aware that Jeffrey Epstein is one of the first godfathers of artificial intelligence. Back in 2002, he had a conference where he supported some of the most famous names in artificial intelligence who were intending to solve a problem at that time. If you wanted a clean, reassuring origin story for modern artificial intelligence, you'd probably start with a university lab, a whiteboard, and a grad student surviving on ramen noodles. You'd not start with a private Caribbean island owned by Jeffrey Epstein. And yet, in the spring of 2002, a group of prominent computer scientists met with Epstein on his property for what was dubbed a common sense symposium.
And there's nothing but, for a freak off. Okay. So these certain I call them mascots, tech mascots. Your Elon Musk, your Peter Thiels, okay, the whole PayPal mafia, your Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, okay, because you go into these tech, all right, let's go here. You go into these small hat tech CEOs, okay, and who do you have? All right, you have Sam Altman, okay, for OpenAI, where you get to chat. Mark Zuckerberg, okay, Meta and Facebook. Larry Ellison, okay, founder of Oracle. Michael Dell, founder of CEO of Dell Technology. All right, Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google. All right, Mark Benouf, CEO of Salesforce. Jane Coons, co-founder of WhatsApp. Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir Technologies. David Sachs, founder of Yammer, former COO of PayPal. Okay, Craig Newmark, founder of Craigslist, man. Okay, so here it is. You have all these small heads. This is all Amalek. It's a small circle, man. And these men are just front men. You listen to these guys talk, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg. These guys are idiots, man. Okay, they're just mascot, all right, for this government, this government military technology, man, that's being used to build out a digital prison. Okay, to gather data and build out a digital prison, man. Okay, that's why you got the search party now with the Ring cameras. The Ring cameras come from who? Jeff Bezos. We're going to get into Jeff Bezos. He's linked to this small circle, man. Okay, it says key trends and contributions. It says beyond Altman and Brian, Alex Karp of Palantir is recognized for shaping modern defense and AI software. Okay, it says entrepreneurship. It says the industry sees a high volume of Israeli-born leadership, often referred to as startup nation. Okay, New World Order, with leaders like Mikhail Braverman, Blumstick, all right, contributing to high-tech sectors, man. Okay, so this is a small inner circle of Amalek, all right, that's at the forefront of all this technology, man. And that's why you have to ask, are they the chosen people of the Most High, or are they trying to replace them? Which one is it? Okay, and if you ask any of these Edomites about the Most High, they're going to give you a round the world answer, man. But they call themselves Jewish, which means what? You're the, with no saying the Jewish. Okay, they're going to the term Jew, all right, but they claim to be the chosen people of the Most High. Okay, but then you can't get a straight answer about the Most High from none of them. And the Most High is not at the forefront in all this technology that they're pushing out, man. Okay, it's to exalt themselves, man. It's to consolidate control for themselves, man. Okay, they want to undermine the Most High with this technology, man. Okay, So, like we were speaking on earlier, so let's go into what, all right, go into DARPA. Okay, what is DARPA? Just a quick, look at it. Nothing deep. This is it says what is DARPA? It said DARPA. It said DARPA focuses on high risk, high reward fundamental research to create breakthrough capabilities, often bridging the gap between scientific discovery and technological implementation. Okay, so you go into DARPA, all right, which is Defense Advanced Research Projects and Agency, okay, is an independent research and development agency under the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD. So that means that they're under that $1 trillion budget, okay? And this is all technology, all this technology that you people worship, you pay for with your tax dollars, man. All this technology that you so in awe about, it comes out of the tax dollars, man. Okay, it comes out of the Department of Defense budget, responsible for developing emerging technologies for military use. Established in 1958 in response to the Soviet launch of Sputnik, its mission is to prevent and create strategic technological, surprises for national security, man. Okay, so all this technology from Facebook to to Instagram to Ring cameras to to cameras to house security, any technology, man. The phones, the TVs, you know, the AI, okay, any technology, all right, that has now been incorporated into daily life comes from DARPA, man. Okay, and they dress up these mascot, all right, companies, okay, as if they're privately owned by, all right, hard working, okay, Edomites, to just grind it out the mud and made these $1 billion companies. Okay, they have all this, funding and marketing and okay, all these government contracts and okay, because it's one and the same, man. Okay, there's really no private sector with the with technology, man. Okay, all of it is government sponsored, okay, and created, okay. But to make these things, public friendly, you see, they had to rebrand it as these private companies, man. Okay, so now when you go into this guy Bezos, because this whole thing with the search party, where now they can link, okay, they're linking these these cameras, these home cameras, okay, to one big network, as if they're doing it for the purpose of finding missing animals. Okay, but when you go into Jeff Bezos, okay, it says Jeff Bezos' grandfather, Lawrence Preston Guys, worked for the Atomic Energy Commission and was the first deputy administrator of DARPA. Okay, of DARPA, man, in 1958. Guys managed major defense projects, influencing a young Bezos with his resourcefulness and engineering skills, which later influenced the Amazon founder's own approach to business and engineering. Okay, so you go into Bezos, and he distributes. He's a main distributor of what? Okay, this technology, man. Okay, he's a main gatherer of what? Of data. Okay, and it's all going into this central database that's being created through Palantir. Okay, so there's a small inner circle of these devils, all right, that are forwarding this new world order. Okay, that are rebelling against the Most High on a level never seen before. You see? So, let's see. Season anything else. So let's go here. I think it go into some more. Let me see. Let's play a little more of this and get a couple more precepts. But once you see how, it's Amalek is at the forefront, okay, of this whole New World Order thing. All right. And they look at everyone else is going, even, you other Edomites, okay, especially you working class Edomites. Okay. That's why you see everyone that's not in this inner circle is being pushed into, all right, the class of the poor. Okay. Because it's them, it's few elite, okay, and everyone else. That's how the New World Order system, all right, is being set up. All right, they're making it a permanent poor majority, all right, and they want to make a permanent, wealthy minority, man. Okay.
If the plan is anonymous and not publicized, the institution's admitting it's not proud of where it's getting its donations. Epstein had positioned himself globally as a connector, and certainly inside of the United States as a connector in many different institutions.
So all Epstein, he was a facilitator. He was a nasty nigga. All right, they were facilitating between, these tech giants and these politicians, man. Okay, so he was just one of these nasty niggas, all right, sent by the elites. Okay, he was just the the Diddy of the tech world. Okay, blackmail. He got all type of footage on niggas, and all right, he's just facilitating. Okay, between these tech giants, man. Okay, so Epstein is nothing but a tool of the elites. Okay, to facilitate. All right, these tech giants and these politicians, man. Okay, to get everyone in bed together. All right, no pun intended. All right.
But he was ultimately the funder of artificial intelligence and this sort of research. Starting in 2002 in the Virgin Islands, moving forward to large donations, he kept very firm relationships at MIT and Harvard, even after his convictions. But what's more troubling are some of the statements that Jeffrey Epstein would later make that reveal what he was really trying to develop with all of these donations. Now, before we get into that, I want to take a second. I would certainly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing and potentially becoming a member. I, along with Legacy Podcasting, put together this program for you, and it takes a lot of resources, and that subscribe means so much to me, and your membership does as well. Now, you might say, okay, Ron, what's the connection between Jeffrey Epstein, Facebook, and DARPA? And that's where a gentleman named John Poindexter comes into play. He's a former NASA director who led DARPA. He led the Information Awareness Office. He was actually the founder of the Information Awareness Program that I mentioned to you earlier. He founded the Total Information Awareness Initiative that was the program designed to get information on nearly every single American citizen. And of course, when that went out of favor, he had to find a way to get Americans to willingly give up the information themselves. And according to Wired's reporting, Poindexter met with Peter Thiel and Palantir co-founder Alex Karp in 2004 and told them that he had an interesting idea to apply data mining techniques from fraud detection to counter terrorism operations. Experts like Poindexter were really trying to solve post 9/11 problems, and that's where total information awareness came about. Of course, they had the benefit of a law passed by Congress at the time that George Bush was president and signed by President Bush, allowing almost complete access to the public's information and instilling FISA courts. At that point in time, the government was...
And what you had, the Patriot Act. Okay. So the government, all right, and big tech have been what? Working hand in hand because it's the same entity. It's pushing the same agenda of the New World Order. Okay. Private tech, they have there's things that the private sector can do that the government can't do. It'll be looked at as overreach. Okay. So they do these things through the private sector. And then there's certain permission that companies need that only come from the government. So it's one and the same, all right, but they're able to have a farther reach by playing both sides. Private public, what they call private public mergers. Okay, so they're able to do more by playing the private and the public sector. Okay, the goddamn devils, man. You see the nigga woman Eve in the mix. So that picture says a lot. All right, Colin Powell. Okay, coon niggas, man. Okay, all these people are the damn devil, man. All right.
That the most powerful, the CIA, DARPA, would be able to get as much information as they possibly could. And with the aid of Facebook, and fast forward over 20 years, CIA officials would tell you that the number one source of information on the American public are apps like Facebook, Spotify, and LinkedIn. Shortly after, we would learn that Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, would sponsor a dinner in Palo Alto, placing Epstein at the table with Musk, Zuckerberg, and Thiel, all of which who would move forward and champion cryptocurrency as a tool for the future. They realized that the information is great, but the financial system is still tied to governments, and deleveraging the financial system from the government would allow this sort of technocrat explosion to occur and ultimately give them the power that they need.
So all that comes from, the cryptocurrency, and crypto was just to get you used to, all right, on digital money. They let a few people get rich off of it, and whatever. But the whole thing of the cryptocurrency was to get you, all right, used to digital money. Okay, because this whole illusion that crypto is outside of government control. No, crypto was created by the same people that's giving you Facebook, the same people, all right, that's giving you all this technology. Okay, same people, all right. It's all linked to the government. Okay, the same people that control, the federal banks is the same people that allow crypto to be created, man. Okay, so crypto, there's another thing. They had the Bitcoin, like a nigga in the basement made Bitcoin. A nigga on the basement just typing hard and fast as hell. Okay, leaning over the keyboard, and Bitcoin came up. Okay, nah, man. Okay, these things are government, all right, approved and created. Okay, and it's all for control. It's all to herd people into this control system, man. And the beautiful thing about the gospel, we know this nigga finna fail. Okay, so when you go here to the book of Job, all right, and we'll end it here, just want to bring that out. But this Job 5:12, it said he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, man. Okay, so these devils, okay, they're not going to be able to pull this off, man. The Lord already has it set how far he's going to let these devils, get into their enterprise, man. Okay, before he, you know, sparks off this war, this third world's war, and sends back Yahweh Shai. Okay, and then you have the nuclear exchange that's going to happen. It's going to turn America to a desert. It's going to shake the earth, man. Okay, it says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong, man. Okay, so all this wickedness and scheming and plotting, that this devil, is doing to try to pull this off, man. It's gonna be for naught. It's gonna be for nothing. Okay, it's gonna be pointless, man. Okay, so that's the point. Just wanted to get into that. Lord will. All right, you brothers. All right, and you sisters was edified once again. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully, Shalom.